Hey everybody, thanks for joining us in this video. I'm going to be explaining Newton's second law to you. In a previous video, I explained Newton's first law, so if you need some help with that, you can go check it out. I also have another video explaining Newton's third law, so go check both those out. But anyway, we're going to be talking about Newton's second law, and Newton's second law is probably one of the more basic laws of the three. A little bit easier to conceptualize. And it says an object's acceleration is directly proportional to the force applied to the object and inversely proportional to the mass of the object. So a lot of people look at that in the definition form and it might sound a little bit intimidating. But let's just break it down a little bit, and let's break it down to just that part where it says an object's acceleration is directly proportional to the force applied to the object. And what does that mean? Well, basically what it's saying is an object's acceleration is proportional to the force, and it's directly proportional to the force. And what that means is if you are to increase the force you're applying on an object, you are going to increase the acceleration of that object. And likewise, if you were to decrease the force you're applying on the object, you're also going to decrease the acceleration that object experiences. And this is directly proportional. And that's basically the first half of Newton's second law. There's a direct proportionality between force and acceleration. Now, what about that second part? It says it's inversely proportional to the mass of the object. So the acceleration is proportionally to the inverse of the mass. That's another way to write it. And so this just basically has the opposite effect as force does. So if you were to increase the mass of an object, you're actually going to be decreasing the acceleration the object experiences. And of course, the opposite would be true if you were to decrease the mass of the object. You're going to increase the acceleration that that object experiences. So this is inversely proportional. Now, there is a pretty simple and basic way to write Newton's second law, and you can write it as a very simple equation. It is acceleration is equal to force divided by mass. And that's the way that Isaac Newton thought about the equation. He wanted to find out how force and mass affected an object's acceleration. But the equation is more famously written F equals ma. And probably because that's one less algebra step you typically have to do whenever you're solving for force. So you might want to keep these equations handy because they're probably going to show up a lot in your studies. And that's basically it on Newton's second law. Force and acceleration are directly proportional with each other, and mass and acceleration are inversely proportional to each other. And you can just solve for force mathematically using this equation down here, or you can solve for the acceleration if you know the force and the mass. Anyway, that's it on this video. Hopefully that was helpful to you. If you got value from this, I'd appreciate you hitting the like button, and also go ahead and hit subscribe. I have a lot more videos that can be a lot of help to you as you're learning physics. Anyways, thanks for joining us. See you in the next video.